65 years old. He would allow you his apartment rent-free, and you would take care of him.
Baytown 911, what's the address of your emergency?
All I did was give.
Because you're a caregiver.
Yes.
You say that this was your passion.
Yes.
The way, if you find this breakdown interesting, then definitely subscribe to the channel. Your one click gives us a chance to explore more such hidden psychological layers.
It's my passion.
A disabled senior citizen is murdered on his caretaker's watch.
Hi, we're at the property at Providence at Baytown, Briarwood, 1711 James Bowie. I'm with the leasing office. We believe one of our residents might have passed away.
Day and night.
Yes.
You weren't getting paid, so
I did it all out of the kindness of my heart.
you really did.
Yes, I did.
But was Alicia Keator really a victim herself, or a cold-blooded co-conspirator?
Look, here the anchor has raised a big question. Was Alicia herself a victim, or a co-conspirator from the beginning? This is a classic confusion point in true crime. In many cases, the accused shows you as a helpless victim, so that sympathy can be drawn against him. But in reality, his involvement is quite deep. Here, the whole angle of the investigation shifts.
Co-conspirator. In the fall of 2017, you get a good job offer to take care
Yes.
of a severely disabled man, 65 years old. He would allow you to live in his apartment rent-free, and you would take care of him day and night.
Yes.
You weren't getting paid, so
I did it all out of the kindness of my heart.
you really did.
Yes, I did.
Baytown 911, what's the address of your emergency?
All I did was give.
Because you're a caregiver.
Yes.
You say that this was your passion.
Yes, it's my passion.
A disabled senior citizen is murdered on his caretaker's watch.
Hi, we're at the property at Providence at Baytown, Briarwood.
Notice when the authorities receive the first call, it is a simple welfare check. No one would even assume that a brutal murder would have taken place here. This is the reason why 911 calls are analyzed in detail by forensic experts. The caller's tone, hesitation, and choice of words often reveal that the real story is something else. The same pattern is visible here as well.
1711 James Bowie. I'm with the leasing office. We believe one of our residents might have passed away.
He was trying to scheme to get his SSI benefits.
She now claims her abusive
Now, when Alicia is sitting for interrogation, a contradiction is clear in her statements. On one hand, she is saying that she was forced. On the other hand, the police are noting that her expressions do not show an emotional breakdown like that of a victim. Body language and micro-expressions reveal the truth in such moments. This is why investigators doubt whether she was just a victim or an active participant in the crime.
common-law husband forced her into the brutal crime. When you realized he was after the old man's disability checks, what did you do? Or were you in on that too?
He told me if I didn't help him, then I was next.
And you did help him.
Yes, I did.
But was Alicia Keator really a victim herself, or a cold-blooded co-conspirator? I watched the 2.5-hour police interrogation of you.
We don't kill people, we sell drugs, that's why.
You don't look at all like a woman who's just been saved from a sadistic killer. How do you explain that?
You can't.
You're looking more like a hardened criminal who doesn't really care. Are you really the victim of domestic abuse or a dangerous sociopath?
This raises a fundamental question. How do defendants present themselves as domestic abuse survivors in order to receive sympathy, but investigators are always watching? Do their actions support the narrative? Here, Alicia's calm answers undermine her story.
Participating in the murder of the man that you were taking care of.
You can call it that.
So much for your career in caretaking. Some murders slip into the night, quiet and cruel. This was one of those cases. It happened in Baytown, Texas, to an elderly man so utterly alone and forgotten, there isn't a single surviving photograph of him.
Notice not a single photograph was available of the victim. This shows how isolated he was. And this is why such people fall into the high-risk category. Their vulnerability makes them an easy target for predators.
Alicia Keator pled guilty to murdering the 65-year-old disabled man on Christmas in 2017, along with her then partner. It would take over a week for anyone to even notice.
For such interesting videos, do subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like and comment and do give your answer as well. You will find it in the next video.
Baytown 911, what's the address of your emergency?
We're at the property at Providence at Baytown, Briarwood, 1711 James Bowie. I'm with the leasing office.
There is a chilling detail in the 911 call: strong smell. For forensic investigators, this is a red flag, which normally indicates decomposition after death. And the fact was that no one checked his house for 2 weeks. This exposes both negligence and isolation.
We believe one of our residents might have passed away.
His name was John Fernandez, and Alicia Keator was his live-in caretaker.
What's the name of the resident there?
Mr. John. We call him Mr. John. He's in a wheelchair, but we have not seen him in 2 weeks. And we opened his unit, and there's a very strong smell, but none of our workers have the courage to go in.
The case haunts me because the victim was so defenseless, wheelchair-bound, gravely ill, and completely dependent on the very person who would be.
Look at the irony. The one who should have been trusted the most became the biggest threat. The caregiver-patient relationship is considered a sacred bond, and when it is betrayed, the punishment becomes even heavier in the eyes of the jury.
Betray him.
Keator. Keator.
Today, Keator is telling her story for the very first time.
Right here?
Yes, right there. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing, Alicia?
Good, how are you?
And I want to probe the mind of a convicted murderer who broke the sacred trust between caregiver and patient. I'm going to be asking you a lot of intense questions. I'll be direct with you, and I hope you'll be forthcoming with me.
I will.
We're here.
When the interviewer asks intense questions, this creates a psychological setup. In criminal psychology, this is called framing the stakes, in which it is made clear to the subject that now excuses will not work, only the truth is required.
Here to try to understand the mindset and motivations behind your actions in this case. Okay? Why did you want to talk to us today?
To share my side of the story, because my side of the story wasn't heard.
Keator's story began 700 miles northwest in Taos, New Mexico, and it didn't start well. You told detectives at one point that you had no family.
I don't, because of the fact that my mother, she just gave me up.
This moment is important. Many killers reference their troubled childhood, which creates a trauma justification narrative. But investigators and courts rarely consider this an excuse, because having a difficult past and committing murder are two different things. By the way, if you find this breakdown interesting, then definitely subscribe to the channel. Your one click gives us a chance to explore more such hidden psychological layers.
To the state?
To the state. And I've been a ward of the state since I was 8.
I see. Your defense attorney reported that there were volumes of records.
Yes.
Pertaining to you from the state child welfare agency.
Yes. It was boxes and boxes on boxes of information. My childhood history.
What happened to you as a child?
I was raped by my mother with a curling iron plugged into an outlet turned on. And my stepfather sodomized me when I was younger. And with that, they took me and put me in a foster home. They said it was the worst case they had ever seen.
It sounds like a rough start to life.
Yes.
But from the record, it looks like you were motivated to do good and to build a career in caregiving.
Yes.
In nursing homes.
When I was going to school to be a certified nurse's assistant, I noticed that some of the elderly weren't being taken care of. They were just left in their diapers or got bed sores, not moving them to certain sides. And I had a passion. It's been my passion all my life to work in nursing homes.
You say that this was your passion?
Yes, it's my passion.
Still is?
Still is.
I regard caregiving as a very noble profession. You have to be a special kind of person.
Yes.
To take
You
on
really
that
do.
work, right?
Yes, it's a lot of work.
There is a special trust between caregiver and patient,
Right.
right? How would you describe that trust?
It's genuine, kind of like a child gives their mom love unconditionally, and I would say no ulterior motives, nothing like that. It's just genuine and from the heart.
Pure care.
Pure care.
But her unconditional love and care childhood had led to drug addiction, petty crimes, and eventually violence. Were you in the drug trade?
I knew how to go about selling it and breaking it down and all that stuff because I grew up in a family like that.
We know you have a violent past of your own, including stabbing 2 people in the head. Mm-hmm. Right? Keator was sentenced to 2 years in prison for assault with a deadly weapon and then released. At the same time, Marcus Donnell Gilbert had just finished 13 years of a 20-year prison sentence. The two met and started a relationship. What was he in for?
Abusing a girlfriend. It was horrible. She was like, her whole body was a bruise. It was horrible. Her eyes were swelled shut. Her lips were busted open.
Did you know about that when you got with him?
No, I didn't.
According to what you and your lawyer have said, you were basically trapped in an abusive relationship.
Yes. Controlling, possessive, like me and you talking right now, wouldn't go down. He wouldn't allow it. He would take my phone every morning, keep it, make sure I didn't contact anybody, make sure anything.
So, controlling, abusive?
Very abusive.
Violent?
Violent, yes.
But in the fall of 2017, Alicia Keator got an opportunity to get away from Gilbert and get back to a life of purpose. You get a good job offer to take care of a severely disabled man, 65 years old, wheelchair bound, right?
Bedridden.
Diabetic. And he would allow you to live in his apartment rent-free, and you would take care of him day and night. Mm-hmm. Was that the deal, basically?
Yes, it was.
Mr. Fernandez needed round-the-clock care?
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm. And you needed a place to stay at the time? Seems like a good match, right? Mm-hmm. 65-year-old John Fernandez was wheelchair-bound and feeble. He needed help to get in and out of bed and to the bathroom. But those who knew him say he always had a certain spirit about him.
Every day whenever I was walking up, he'd be sitting about where I am, and he'd greet me before I even made it up to him. He'd say, "Hello, beautiful. How are you doing today?" And we'd chit-chat about how our days were going.
Postal worker Lindsay Miller had worked this route for years and says Fernandez brought a little cheer to the hard-scrabble streets of Baytown, Texas.
I looked very forward to seeing John every day. He knew how to make someone smile, for sure. He'd crack jokes and everything else.
Fernandez had no family to rely on, no cherished photos framed on a mantelpiece. In fact, he was so isolated and alone that we could not find a single image of him. So we asked Miller to sit down with sketch artist Lois Gibson to help create a portrait of the kind and gentle man she remembers.
Was he white, black, Mexican, Chinese?
He was Hispanic.
Hispanic? Okay. And how old do you think? Just ballpark it. What does he look like?
Around 60.
Okay, 60. And he was fat, skinny, or average, or muscular?
He was probably between skinny and average.
Got that. And you don't have to know exact height, but was he short or tall, or do you know if he was 6 foot? Or
I have no idea. He was in a wheelchair.
Okay, there you go.
He never stood. He was so trusting. He trusted everyone, which was probably one of his downfalls. I mean, he thought everybody was a friend. And that's not the case, obviously.
Fernandez survived off the kindness of neighbors and his monthly Social Security income. He couldn't pay for home care, so he needed somebody who would care for him in exchange for housing, someone he could trust. You weren't getting paid.
No.
Right?
I did it all out of the kindness of my heart.
You really did.
Yes, I did.
He would allow you to live in his apartment rent-free, and you would take care of him day and night.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the deal, basically?
Yes, it was.
Keator claims her own intentions with her new patient were honorable. But Marcus Gilbert saw a very different kind of opportunity. While you were there taking care of John, it sounds like Marcus was scheming to take advantage of John.
Yes. He was trying to scheme to get his SSI benefits,
right?
I guess you could say. Get a PIN number, get a card, this, that, and the other.
When you realized he was after the old man's disability checks, what did you do? Or were you in on that too?
I never came up with the idea to go in with him on taking the SSI money or the card or none of that. That was solely on him because he was trying to hit a lick, so he called it.
He was trying to
hit a lick.
What does that mean?
So he's trying to come up with some quick money so he can do drugs.
Within weeks, Gilbert had taken John Fernandez's ATM card, but still needed his PIN number to steal his Social Security payments. Fernandez found himself locked inside his bedroom with Marcus Gilbert and a third accomplice refusing to give them the PIN number. Christmas Eve, right?
Yes.
The shakedown of John escalates with a violent effort to intimidate him into giving up the PIN number.
Yes.
You told police Fernandez was laying on the bed, scared, curled up, crying, begging, and asking Gilbert to leave him alone.
Yes. I remember that.
Is that what you witnessed?
Yes. I remember that like it was yesterday.
When that went down, Alicia, were you helping them or were you helping John?
I was trying to figure out how to help John without dying myself.
You were afraid for your own safety?
I was in fear of both of our safeties, mine and John's, because I didn't know what Marcus was capable of.
All this...
A person whose home's fridge was filled not just with food, but with dead bodies. A story which does not end after the murder, it only begins then.
In biology class, we had the usual of fetal pigs, and I took the remains of that home and kept the skin. And I just started branching out, dogs, cats. I suppose it could have turned into a normal hobby like taxidermy. And all I know is that I wanted to see what the insides of these animals looked like. There may have been some violence involved, some underlying subconscious feelings of violence.
This is not just the story of a killer. This is the journey of a monster who survived by hiding the deaths of 17 people behind the mask of a normal boy. This is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, a name which has been written among the most deadly serial killers of America, a hunting devil.
I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography.
That's true.
And it's real. It's true.
the person to blame is sitting right across from you. That's the only person. Not parents, not society, not pornography. I mean, those are just excuses.
What do you think about what he said about pornography?
Pornography? I've been looking at it all my life and it hasn't affected me anything.
Who not only killed the corpses of his victims, but preserved their body parts, ate them, and kept their pictures with them. From 1978 to 1991, this man killed 17 young boys, one after the other. But his first murder, that was the most horrifying because a monster was born on that day. So let's start from the day that started a story written in blood in American history. June 18th, 1978. Jeffrey Dahmer's first murder. Starting date, time, year of crime involved. It all began on June 18th, 1978. A warm summer evening in Bath Township, Ohio. The sun was setting when a young Jeffrey Dahmer spotted his first victim, 18-year-old hitchhiker, Stephen Hicks. Dahmer, just 18 himself, had recently graduated high school, but instead of heading off to college parties or finding a summer job, he drove straight into darkness. At around 5:30 p.m., he picked up Hicks, offering him a ride, a few beers, and a place to chill. By 7 p.m., Hicks was dead, bludgeoned with a dumbbell, strangled and hidden in the basement. This was no accident. It was the beginning of a chilling reign of terror that would stretch over 13 years and claim 17 innocent lives. And that very night, something inside Jeffrey Dahmer broke. Permanently.
Who was the killer? The name? Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer. But the world remembers him as the Milwaukee Cannibal. A soft-spoken, polite man with a monster hiding behind his glasses. To neighbors, he was shy and quiet. To his victims, he was death itself. He didn't kill for revenge, money, or hate. He killed because he wanted full control. Control over bodies, over life, over death. He lured young men with offers of cash or photo shoots only to murder them brutally. And then, he kept their remains, sometimes for weeks. He wasn't just a killer, he was a collector, a manipulator, a wolf in sheep's clothing. But every monster has an origin. So where did Jeffrey's madness begin?
Killer's real name and early life. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21st, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His father, Lionel, was a chemist, and his mother, Joyce, struggled with anxiety and depression. From the outside, the Dahmers looked like a normal middle-class family, but behind closed doors, fights, emotional distance, and a child growing colder by the day, Jeffrey was fascinated with dead animals. He'd collect roadkill and store the bones. At just 6 years old, he began showing signs of detachment. His only joy came from anatomy books and taxidermy kits. By the time he turned 10, he was already fantasizing about controlling others, about what it would feel like to own a body. But childhood obsession soon turned into something far darker. Killers, mental health, and childhood trauma. Jeffrey's mind was a storm from early on. His mother's frequent hospitalizations and emotional instability left him craving attention. But instead of love, he found isolation. His father, though intelligent, was emotionally distant. Jeffrey was left alone with his thoughts that turned darker with time. He developed fantasies of complete domination, sexual, violent, disturbing. He began drinking in high school, sometimes even bringing alcohol to class. Teachers noticed, but no one intervened. He admitted later that he felt like something was missing. That missing piece? He tried to fill it with death. Diagnosed later with borderline personality disorder and schizotypal traits, Jeffrey was not insane, just broken beyond repair. And what happens when a broken mind meets the opportunity to kill? It begins. When, where, and how did the first murder happen? It was June 18th, 1978. Jeffrey Dahmer had been left alone at his family home after his parents separated. That's when he picked up Stephen Hicks, a friendly hitchhiker heading to a rock concert. They drank beer, listened to music, talked for hours. But when Hicks said he had to leave, something snapped. Dahmer didn't want to lose him. He grabbed a dumbbell, hit him from behind, and strangled him. It wasn't planned.
Once it happened, Jeffrey felt something powerful, something addicting. He said later, "It gave me a sense of total control." Hicks became his first victim, the first of many, and now that he'd crossed the line, there was no going back. Exact time, date, and location of murder? The murder happened on Sunday evening, June 18, 1978, between 5:30 and 7 p.m. The location: the basement of Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home at 4480 West Bath Road, Bath Township, Ohio. The house was isolated, surrounded by woods, perfect for hiding secrets. Hicks was killed in silence. No one heard the screams. No one suspected the horror unfolding beneath that suburban roof. And for 13 years, that home kept its secret. Until Dahmer confessed, no one knew that the first blood had been spilled right there. And what he did with the body next was even more horrifying. Who was the victim? Stephen Mark Hicks was just 18 years old, a kind, music-loving teenager from Coventry Township, Ohio. That day, he was on his way to a concert when he accepted a ride from a stranger. He didn't know that stranger would be his last. Friends described him as cheerful, funny, and full of life. He had plans, dreams. He wanted to be a teacher one day. His parents reported him missing when he didn't return home, but the case went cold. For years, Stephen was just a face on a missing poster, until 1991, when his killer finally confessed. But Stephen's death wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a bloody legacy. What was the method of murder? Dahmer's method was brutally simple. He waited until Hicks was relaxed, distracted, then struck him twice in the back of the head with a 10-pound dumbbell. When Hicks collapsed, he used the bar to strangle him until he stopped moving. The killing was silent, efficient. But what followed was more disturbing. Dahmer stripped the body, stared at it, admitted he was aroused. He kept the body overnight, then began cutting it up. The murder wasn't fueled by anger, it was fueled by obsession, control, possession. The act wasn't just about killing, it was about keeping. And when the body lay lifeless, Dahmer's real work began. What was the murder planning? Officially, it wasn't planned, but mentally, it was years in the making. Jeffrey had been fantasizing about controlling a person for years. This was just the moment he acted. He didn't have tools ready, just raw impulse. But the way he handled the aftermath showed calculation. He dismembered the body, used acid to dissolve flesh, and crushed the bones with a hammer. It was meticulous. He flushed some remains, hid others in the woods. The cover-up was clinical, precise, like he'd rehearsed it in his mind over and over. It may not have been pre-planned, but it was executed with chilling control. And the way he cleaned up was just the start of his sinister blueprint. What was the look, outfit, and dialogue of the killer at the time of murder? That night, Dahmer looked like any normal teen. Blue jeans, a white t-shirt, and casual sneakers. His face emotionless, calm, but behind that still face, rage and obsession boiled. When Hicks stood to leave, Dahmer's voice was quiet. "Don't go." That was the last thing Hicks ever heard. There was no shouting, no screaming, just the cold swing of metal, followed by silence. Afterward, Dahmer didn't cry, didn't panic. He sat beside the body, touching it, studying it. His face never changed. There was no remorse, just fascination. That blank stare would become the face of America's most terrifying killer. But this wasn't a one-time event. It was only chapter 1. What did the killer do after the murder? Jeffrey Dahmer did not panic immediately after the murder. He hid Stephen Hicks's body in his basement. He sat next to the body all night, sometimes with fear, sometimes with curiosity, and sometimes with a twisted peace. The next morning, he began dismembering the body with a cold mind. He picked up a kitchen knife, separated the limbs, made a plan to put the flesh in acid, dissolved the flesh, separated the bones, and crushed them with a sledgehammer. He put bone fragments into plastic bags and threw them into the wood, flushed the flesh or threw it down the drain, cleaned the entire place with bleach. When his parents returned home, they did not know anything. After the murder, he went to college as if nothing had happened. But that night, Jeffrey was no longer just a boy. He had become a serial killer. But when so much was hidden, did anyone see anything? How did the killer destroy the evidence? Dahmer destroyed everything so cleanly that even the forensic team could not find the evidence even after years. He dismembered Hicks' body and dissolved the flesh with acid. He had made the acid in a container which he had hidden in the basement. When the flesh was in liquid form, he flushed it. The bones were chopped so small with a sledgehammer that they could not even be identified. That bone powder was put into the wood. The murder weapon, the dumbbell, was cleaned with bleach. Blood stains were scrubbed. Not a single fingerprint, clothing, or even a hair strand was left. Jeffrey put on gloves, sealed the bags tightly. And the biggest thing, he didn't say anything to anyone. An explanation that would shock the mind of a trained killer, not an 18-year-old. But did anyone see anything strange around Jeffrey that day? Or was everyone keeping quiet? Was blood or body parts found at the scene of murder? When Jeffrey Dahmer confessed in 1991, the police investigated his house in Bathurst. But by that time, 13 years later, no physical evidence was found. No bloodstains, no body parts. There was not even the smell of bleach in the basement. Everything had been cleaned up. Even Hicks' flesh, bones, and belongings had been destroyed. Dahmer explained in detail how he dismembered the bodies, dissolved them in acid, and crushed the bones. Nature had done its work in the woods where the bone fragments were thrown. Rain, insects, and time had destroyed everything. The forensic team had to rely only on his words. Everything was over, except for a confession. But was Jeffrey alone at the time of the murder? Or did someone come close to the truth?
If you have any doubts, please tell me your question and whatever doubts you have in the comments section. I will try my best from my side to reply to you. And please do subscribe to my channel to watch these suspense-filled interviews and true crime documentary videos. Thanks for watching.